Hey guys, Paul Salmon here. Well, I'd like to talk to you guys about Frank Robinson. Fortunately, Frank passed away last month. I believe it was the 12th of November of last month. And Frank was an interesting guy. I first met Frank in 2005. I actually flew a gyroplane out to Torrance, California, and attended safety school. And during the lunch hour, Frank actually kind of looked me up and asked me about flying the gyroplane out there. I think he was either impressed that somebody was either stupid enough or brave enough to fly a gyroplane all the way from Missouri out to Torrance, California. But had a very pleasant conversation with him. A lot of people don't know this, but Frank actually worked for Humboldt Corporation. If I'm not mistaken, at some point he worked for McCulloch, and both of those companies built gyroplanes. So anyway, at the end of the lunch, we went out and he took a look at the gyroplane that I was in. I offered him a ride. He actually turned me down. But he spent about 20 or 30 minutes looking at the aircraft, and you know, the mechanical engineer in him, he's perusing all the wells and looking at the design of the rotor and how the pre-rotator was designed. And I spent about 20 to 30 minutes taking a good look at the aircraft. So, I don't think most of the guys that are in the helicopter industry now realize that Frank Robinson fundamentally changed the helicopter industry. And how he did that was the development of a very affordable helicopter. Prior to Frank coming along, most of the helicopters that had been developed were all in pursuit of military contracts. And as you guys well know, the government's willing to spend crazy amounts of money on military items. So Frank didn't pursue a military contract. He developed the aircraft, and he knew it was going to have to be affordable for the average guy on the street, so to speak, to be able to afford it. And he accomplished that. And because of that, like I say, there was a fundamental change in the amount of cost that it took to become trained and become a helicopter pilot. Prior to that, you basically had very little choice. You could go in the Army and fly helicopters, or one of the other services and fly helicopters. Or if your family owned a helicopter service, your father was a crop duster with a helicopter or whatever, and it was a hand-me-down situation, then you could get into flying a helicopter. But for the most part, that was about it. And that all changed when Frank introduced the little R-22. Like I say, the cost of training went way down. It was the cheapest aircraft, although I've heard tell that he really never wanted it to be the training, primary training helicopter, but it became that by default because it was the most affordable helicopter out there. So you guys that came along in the industry, even if you're not flying Robbies, even if you started out in service and became a helicopter pilot after you got out of the service and that thing, Frank was responsible for a significant expansion of the helicopter industry worldwide. And we all have a debt of gratitude that we owe to Frank for that. So if any of you guys out there have a good Frank Robinson story, I'd like to hear about it. And if you don't mind, put a little version of your story in the comments, and I look forward to reading over those. So if you haven't already, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys on the next video.